Welcome to a regular episode of the Tilehurst podcast, episode number 462 for numbers fans. Here with myself, Ben Thomas, is Rossini in what looks like a retro England kit. Is it?
Looks like a retro England kit, yeah. But if you look at the shoulders, you'll see that this is actually the current training kit. This was very nicely gifted to me. I've talked about them a lot, but I've finished 2 years with the group of 2016 boys that I've had, and they graciously gave me some bits and bobs to finish up. So I have a nice World Cup replica ball that has already got a lot of turf, muck and grime all over it because I don't, really nice ball. It wasn't going to sit on a plinth. It's playing, like we're using it. But this lovely T-shirt as well. So thank you to the Seacoast 2016 boys for this nice England shirt. You're wearing a France shirt on the eve, not even on the eve, on the day of Reading, on the day of Reading's World Cup debut. That would be something. On the day of England's World Cup debut, you're wearing a France shirt. What's that all about?
It's one of my favourite shirts. It's got cows on it. It's like a tapestry.
Yeah. It's got cows on it is not really an explanation for a hate crime.
I've had this for a little while. I've been raiding Vinted over the last couple of weeks to get some World Cup stuff. So I've got a nice Mexico number.
Lovely.
I've got an Atletico Madrid one.
Oh,
which I know it's not World Cup related, but it's,
yes. When are they're in the same group as Reading.
Yeah, exactly right. So, look, World Cup fever. We're still waiting for Reading FC fever to catch a light. We'll talk about that first of all. Big news on the women's team as well this week. We've had, I say we, but Ross and Pete have done a cracking interview with Emma Hopkins, who is obviously heavily involved with the women's team and has been for a number of years. So that's available to listen to and download now, wherever you get your podcast from. We've got Alec and Rick later on in the show talking about the development of the or the evolution of the women's team coming back to Reading. If you haven't seen that news, where have you been? Huge for the club and community, and about time that was done. So they're going to be later on in the show talking exclusively about the women's team.
Really good little interview. And the women's team coming back under the Reading FC name and club and all those kinds of things, playing their games in Reading, training in Reading. So just, very exciting. There is, like Ben said, an interview on YouTube and now in your podcast feed with Emma Hopkins, who has been with Reading through it all over the last few years. So when, she had to basically beg to keep the women's team around and have the community trust take it on, to now when obviously they're making a proud return to Reading, and you can hear about all of that in that interview. But a little chat with Alec and Rick, who are the two new managing cooperating directors of the women's team. So exciting stuff, and you can check out all of that on the Tilehurst end.
Yeah, well, we're going to get into what little Reading FC related news for the men's we've got, and then that will be in the middle of the pod, the interview with Alec and Rick, and then we're going to finish off with some World Cup wonderful waffle
chat. Wondering, World Cup wondering, both in terms of wondering how it will go and wondering around the results.
Exactly right. Big thanks to the Amazons for their generous donation of their smash hit, My Blood. We still don't have a sponsor. I don't know how long I keep saying this until it becomes really awkward, but we don't have a sponsor. We're not financially desperate yet in the pod, but we've talked a little bit about the tip jar and Patreon and all that kind of stuff. So don't be surprised if you get some news and some information and some advertising around that in a couple of weeks. But we need to keep the lights on somehow, so we might have to go down that road. But we're still looking for a sponsor, so let us know if you're interested in that.
I'm going to call the pod "We're not financially desperate," and now the club's going to wonder if we're criticizing their transfer strategy. But I promise it's not. It's the Tilehurst and advertising strategy is what we're criticizing.
Exactly right. Big thanks to Siren Craft Brew as well, who are our official brewing partners. I've left it in a garage, but I'm going to go and get it in a minute, so you can see what they've gifted. Well, me, I was going to say us. Ross didn't get anything. He lives miles away, but they've gifted me one of these boxes. So I'll show you that, and it's a perfect gift for Father's Day, or just the man in your life, or woman, or anyone actually who drinks beer.
I'm just going to get to watch it like it's your older brother playing FIFA.
Yeah, exactly right. I'm not going to drink them all, but I'll show them to you. Anyway, let's get into it. Episode 462 of the Tilehurst podcast. After this short break. Right, Ross, the transfer season ticket renewal frozen window slammed shut at 3 p.m. on Monday.
Indeed.
Big question: did you renew?
I mean, I renewed my my digital pass in that window. Good. if that counts. I mean, I'm still, even in the off season, as it were, I could unsubscribe from Royals TV, at no penalty and come back. But no, I continued paying my Royals TV dues, as it were. But no, I didn't get a season ticket. Unfortunately, the commute is just proving a little bit too much for me now. I'm on the wrong side of the M25, so actually, I'm not. I'm on the right side of the M25. But
I was going to say you're all right. Actually, you're okay. Yeah. Probably get there quicker.
I'd have to deal with that. Don't let me tell you about the I-95 hold up, so mate, it's awful.
I won't. On top of that, we had a letter from. I say we, some of us did, some of us who have season tickets.
Only season ticket holders. I had to have it forwarded to me. I wake up, I hear all these season ticket holders going, "Oh, we've had a letter from Rob."
You look it in through the window.
Yeah, I'm the sickos guy outside, just like, enjoying that. So
it's like that little kid at Christmas. They're all eating turkey in there, and you haven't got any.
I'm like if Tiny Tim at the end of the of Christmas Carol was shut outside rather than we're all going to get a goose now, Tim, and you're going to sit outside and watch us eat it. So
and you don't get an email.
No.
It's an interesting tactic, I guess, to send it to not have, I hate the phrase open letter, but not to publish it on kind of the club's account and share it with everyone. I guess the point of it was to kind of say thank you. In a way, it was personalised to a point. So, it had your name in the opening sentence, and then I'm not going to read the whole thing because it was quite wordy, but the snapshot, if you've not seen it, is that they claim, and I think this is a big claim, 7,221 season ticket packages were sold, 20% of one Royal. So that means that 80% are people buying their ticket outright and not subscribing to a membership package, which, I don't know. I think that's very, very high in terms of estimation, but whatever.
So you think it's high that 20% are doing one Royal?
I think it's surprising that 7,000 people have committed to some kind of package.
So package in terms of like season ticket, just general as well, right? Because the interesting thing is that they add in that they're ahead of 23-24 and they're ahead of 24-25 at this time. They're slightly behind last season, which is kind of interesting, actually, just kind of like hearing about how the season tickets got sold. Although 2 seasons ago, 24-25, that would have been our first year in League One. Is that right? No, that would have been our second year in League One. Yeah. Oh, God, we've been here so long.
23-24 would have been the second year, right?
No, 23-24 was the first year. We've been stuck in League One for 3 seasons, right?
Is this not the fourth, though?
First season, yeah, we'll be going into it's just 2 guys trying to work out how numbers work.
Whatever. Anyway,
Who cares?
They're saying it's an increase year on year. They're also saying, or say it's come from Rob. Ultimately, we simply did not do a good enough job. We know that on last season.
Yeah, we're talking about on the pitch.
Tighter spending restrictions mean increasing the club's football income has never been more important. Though there's naturally a mention of the club working hard to strengthen the squad. Club debt has been eliminated. There's a brief nod towards redundancies. Changes in people have been difficult. and they remained fully committed to protecting and continue improving the Category 1 academy.
I think it's worth noting also, sorry, just one more thing I wanted to point out on top of that, but they mentioned that since taking ownership, they've eliminated the club's debt and paid outstanding creditors. This seemed important.
Literally just said that. I said club debt has been eliminated. You're not even listening to what I'm
not
saying.
Even listening.
Like,
do you know what I was doing? I was just looking at the statement myself and trying to pull something out that seemed even more important. I just pulled out what you just said. So anyway, all right. So let's just summarize how this segment's gone, listeners. Ross is not listening. I can't work out how numbers work or remember how many seasons we've been in League One. Yeah.
Yeah. Well, anyway, look, that's the headline. I think I guess my kind of main question to you, Ross, is that there is seemingly now a little bit more unrest in terms of not people calling for a change in ownership, because I think that would be very, very knee-jerk at this moment in time. But you know, there is now a growing voice of pushback towards these owners saying they've got no money, no direction, no real plan, blah, 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 blah. Do you feel, if we focus in on that point to start with, that they did a good enough job last season across the board?
The owners last season?
Yeah, just generally.
Mean, if we're thinking about like what's going on with planning for right now, with everything off the field, we said this before, like with everything off the field prior to One Royal coming up, I think that they were moving in the right direction in general. Obviously, you know, I've spoken about the AI division and stuff before, not necessarily being something that I would thrust a bunch of money into, but you know, I understand where they're coming from with that. With the One Royal system, you know, I think that you and I agree that the ability to pay monthly for your ticket is something that is enticing, and it's the kind of other rewards and things seem a little bit less important, and then it's the kind of loyalty point stuff on that that's sort of ticked that into slightly frustrating. But I don't mind the idea of like One Royal and everything in general. I think that also if you look at what's going on the field now, or off the field now, you know, the pitch is being redone, the floodlights are being redone, the stadium is getting upgrades, and that's really important because we spoke about, you know, at the start of the taking over, you know, like things like the toilets needed cleaning, and like the stupid stadium manatees, the big white poles that I don't like on top of the stadium, they need cleaning. Things like that need doing, and stuff like that does appear to be happening, which is good. Obviously, you know, Rob was on this pod and he said to our faces, and we know this is the case, he has a disagreement about you know, how important style of play is to your team, and also about how good Liam Richardson is at his job. And that's obviously, I think, going to be the primary, you know, like pushback on all of this stuff from the club right now, is that it matters what's going on the field, and we still feel as Reading fans, even though we're forgetting how long we've been in this league now, that we are a championship club, and that is the goal. And so I think that any time that we as fans feel like something is standing in the way of that, and right now I think a decent amount of us feel that that's Liam Richardson, then there are going to be tensions and things like that. I think that Rob and Todd and the guys are people that are on social media, and they're seeing, you know, the themes of criticism, and they are sort of addressed, if you will, throughout this letter that was sent to season ticket holders. But at the same time, you know, what I read into in this is that, you know, that good news about that I didn't listen to about the debt being cleared, like that is positive for the football club. And on the field, again, I have a disagreement with the ownership group about, you know, what this particular coaching staff can achieve. But it is at least clear from reading this email that they are aware that the fans' expectations are high, and that the goal for the club until it happens is to get promoted into the championship. It's just that we have a disagreement about the best way to do that on the pitch, I suppose.
I guess my overriding concern, and you know, I said this to Rick when he came to Siren, said this to Rob as well, and the fact that for me the most important thing is what happens on the pitch. And yeah, the stadium is showing signs of age. You know, they've addressed certain things like respraying or doing that flame thing where you get a kind of a dull color and then it shines to bright or whatever with the seats. The pitch, I think, is a big part of it. All of those things are really, really important, but I can't get away from the fact that I don't necessarily trust the club to get it right in the recruitment process. And there are a number of clubs in this division that have not yet made a signing. It's a very, very long pre-season or gap, finishing from early May to coming back in early August. That is a really, really long time. There's been very little news to lift the mood. We talk about Rinomhota signing a new contract, which I think is probably a positive overall. It means that we can stay a little bit competitive.
But you're looking for something that will make you say more than probably a positive overall, right?
Yeah, of course. Exactly right. And I in my head, stupidly assumed that we would be in this situation where they've said this is what we're doing. We're getting rid of all these players, X, Y, and Z. Bringing more players in earlier would have been preferable to me as a supporter, because it would feel like we're moving in the right direction on the pitch as well. There can't be anyone who's knocking the stuff off the pitch. We've talked a lot about the one Royal everyone has. That's done and dusted now. That's not going anywhere because people have signed up to at least a season. Yes, they have made mistakes. Yes, they haven't got it right with some of the decisions they've made within that package, but that's done and dusted now. My concern is really what happens on the pitch. And at the moment, I don't see a squad or a group of players that is capable of pushing for top six.
Do you know what's funny? I just went looking to see, because you mentioned like the dates of the transfers again, and you were right to also mention that it's a weird and long off season this year because of the World Cup. But the thing I went to go and look at was when was Porty O'Connor announced? It's June 17th for us recording right now, 2026. It was June 17th, 2025. So Porty has officially been announced, I suppose, as a Reading player for a year, although he didn't officially join until July 1st. That's when his contract expired. So contracts with previous clubs still not expiring most likely until July 1st. But now is about the time when you would probably start to hear some announcements about, players that might be moving on for free.
The other thing as well is obviously the timing of this letter. Yes, he's done it to people that brought in season tickets as a kind of thank you, but there's a lot more information in there than just a simple thanks very much for your support, see you in August. So it feels like the club, and I might be wrong on this, but are potentially saying the most loyal people have just bought in a season ticket or bought in a package, hence they get this email. Actually, that shouldn't, with the information that's in there. And again, people listen to this guy, they can't do right from wrong. I'm kind of on the fence with these owners. I said I would give them 18 months. It's been a year. We've still got another 6 months to go before I really go, this is where I feel they're at with it. But I do feel that this letter should have gone to the Reading fans in general. In terms
it looks a little to me almost like they were like, all right, we want to add a letter and send it out to season ticket guys. The media team went, hey, Rob, can you write us 250 words? We just want this, this, and this. And as you and I know from having spoken to Rob a couple of times, he's not short with words, and
he's got an opinion.
He will find a way to talk about what he wants to talk about. I think, like I said, I think that our ownership group are quite online, and they do see everything that we're talking about on there. I think everyone is to a degree now, apart from me. I'm not on Twitter.
And look, one of my biggest criticisms, as many other people's were of the previous ownership group, is that they never said anything.
Mm-hmm.
Now we us as a pod have got a lot of access to the ownership group, which is incredible. We've got a director coming down to a pub in Reading live to put himself in front of supporters to take very difficult questions, not just from myself, but from people in attendance as well. And
I thought Rick did a really good job there, by the way.
He did.
I think it's worth pointing out.
You can't have it both ways and say, well, the ownership are doing this, this, and this. The amount of communication we're getting is unparalleled in the last few years of supporting this football club in terms of communication and openness. What people want to see, I would imagine, is the actions that back that up. And I still think it will come good at some point. I don't know when, but I think it will. I think they're on the right lines in a lot of respects, but they need football people in the building. They need football people to make these decisions and say, probably don't do that, or maybe go in this direction. The next comment will be, well, how do you define a football person? Well, someone who's been in the game a long time, someone who understands the lower league, someone who understands the requirements and the level of players that we probably need to be bringing in. There's just a feeling that I have that they're not quite right and on the same page football wise, sort of on the pitch, as they are trying to be in terms of running it as a business off the pitch. So there's a little bit of a conflict there in terms of what they feel that they are seeing and what we are seeing. I think Joe Jacob has said the other week that at times Reading were unplayable last year. That's absolute nonsense. It's absolute
Well, the whole
nonsense.
game's unplayable when the ball's in the air for 90% of the time.
Yeah, exactly. But I have a massive issue with that word anyway. I don't know what that means. Like it's, just use phenomenal or they couldn't play against.
It's like when you were used to have, when you put a disc in the machine and it's not working, you take it out and you realize the big scratch down the side. That's unplayable.
Yeah, it's unplayable.
It's unplayable. Yeah,
exactly. But I just don't know what he's basing that on. And that's a real concern in that he is involved with bringing in a football team, bringing in players, putting 11 guys on the field plus subs. And he's saying that as a kind of a general review of where we were last season. It's, I mean, I like Jay Jacobson. I think he's a great guy. Met him a number of times. He's very, very nice. But that's a crazy comment. That's a crazy comment to make.
I think it is, but also, it's what football clubs do, isn't it? When they're not, they're clearly not going to sack Liam between now and I would say October, right?
Yeah.
Like if the season starts poorly, and a lot of that will rely on recruitment and things like that. Then I think that that will be when Liam's number is up and everything, but they're not going to get rid of him until sometime around then. So I think the whole football facing side of the club has to put on this defiance in terms of this is the way in which we will win games. And again, when Liam came in, obviously for a long period, his team since he had come in were sitting in the playoff places. So results wise, which is what Rob says openly he cares more about, he was getting the job done. It's just that when it doesn't work, it is the style of football that is turgid to watch, and that causes issues. Shall we chat briefly about Andy Rinomhota and his return to the club? Because I think that's the first kind of piece of recruitment information we have, right? Yeah, so Andy coming back. I think
I thought, were you waiting me to ask the question you've already asked me?
I don't really know. I was sort of inviting us to go into that stage, knowing that I was just looking at the
doors open.
There's always a ticking clock above our name or above our heads, listeners, so you don't know while we're recording the pod. And I know how long the extra segment is. So I'm always, this is all nonsense. I'll cut this out. Anyway, I don't care about. Basically, I don't really care to talk about the preseason fixtures because I don't know anything about Newport or Crawley, and I don't care about playing Charlton other than maybe Harvey Nibbs will show up. That's it, basically. They're not the most inspiring preseason fixtures.
Yeah, but it will go one of two ways. We'll either be amazing and everyone will be like, we're on. Yeah. I think these have been picked very sensibly. They're not glamorized. Obviously got to get your passports ready to go down to Newport. Cracking place, by the way. I cannot wait to get to that game. So Farnborough away, 11th of July. Woking away, 25th. Newport County away, 28th. Crawley away, 31st. And then that... how does that work? Crawley away on the 31st of July and then Charlton at home on the 1st of August.
They'll probably have the kiddos
That's not right,
play
is it?
On the 30th. Well, they might have the kiddos play one day and then have a completely different team play the next day. You never know.
Anyway, we could either be fantastic or it could instantly turn toxic. Imagine you go to Newport and lose. It will explode.
Exactly. Well, you're trying to get me excited about Newport and Farnborough here, so can we talk about Andy now? Andy Rinomhota back. You and I kind of said that if he comes back, that would probably be the end of Charlie Savage at Reading because it gives us the cover I think we both did. I think we both said that.
I don't think I ever said. I don't think I've ever said it'd be the end of Charlie Savage. That's a bit
not
dramatic.
maybe not exactly like that, but you know what I mean in terms of him potentially moving on. If the right offer comes in, and there have been rumors about him going to Cardiff, maybe. Has been the big one that's been discussed. But in any case, with Andy Rinomhota, I think I put out a little video or something on him if I can be bothered. But I think there's enough evidence to suggest that could end up being a good signing, because I think that Andy Rinomhota offers Reading something that neither Lewis Wing nor Charlie Savage specialized in necessarily last season, and that he's just a good physical, runner, both on and off the ball. He is very, I almost think of him as that old school kind of player who's like, get the ball and give it to someone good. He's not the most progressive passer in the world. He's not going to make line splitting passes or things like that, but his partner next to him is the player that we will be using to do that anyway in Lewis Wing, if we continue to use sort of a two base in midfield. So I'm cautiously optimistic about Andy Rinomhota. My concern would be that he is another player who has been with Liam Richardson previously, and is it more, jobs for the boys and all those kinds of things. Obviously, because Rinomhota played less than I did for Reading last year, in the end, really. But looked good in his start against Cardiff.
Do you think it's important that we are able to re-sign players in terms of not necessarily statement, but I guess it is a statement. Players looking at it and saying,
last week we were talking about could Yaku Mate come back?
Well, yeah, but like players choosing to go, I'm at the end of my contract. Actually, I'll sign another one because I believe in this project. Like, do you think that's a positive thing, or is it that they had nowhere else to go? Like, what's the mechanics of it, basically?
I think Rinomhota, for various reasons, like we said, he is an ex-Liam Richardson player on loan at Rotherham, and then also, he is a player who has connection to Reading. I suspect that his preference was to stay at Reading this year. Do I expect that there were lots of offers for him higher than sort of like the low end of League One? No, I don't. Just because he hasn't played enough football in the last season for people to really, take a chance on him. And I think the Reading is the best fit for him right now, where he is in his career, because he, if he is going to have a career that lasts longer than like 32 or 33, he really needs to kick on next season. And I don't think there's a better environment for him to do that in. And obviously, like, bringing good players into a club, bringing the best possible player into your club is always something that recruitment teams are going to try to do. But I think that fit for both the player, but also the person, is important too. And I think that Rinomhota probably fits better at Reading than he does at any other team around our level. And our level right now is only like top 10 League One, right? Although we finished 12th.
Well, top 12.
Top 12. Top half of League One.
Top half, yeah. Just
I wouldn't be surprised to know that we were the only top half of League One club that were in for him. But at the same time, I think that because of the potential for that to be a really good fit, I don't mind it at all, bringing Rinomhota back.
Yeah. Well, it remains to be seen what else who we can bring in, and any other players out of contract that we can bring back potentially. Talking of bringing back, we have got the women's team back in Reading, as Ross said in the intro.
Yes.
Training in Reading, playing in Reading, back in Reading, rather than that slough. So it's positive that, for the community, that they're back. Here is Ross now talking to Alec and Rick about the reappointment, if you like, of the women's team in Royal Berkshire.
All right. So welcome to our women's team section of the podcast today. Ross, your host, still here with you, but very excited today to be joined by Rick Catania. You've been on this podcast many times before. How you doing, Rick? Good to see you.
Doing well, Ross. Good to see you, man.
Good. And for the YouTube, or people who aren't on YouTube, Rick has a lovely Reading shirt on today, which is, you wore a lovely collared shirt last time, but this looks even better on you, if I may say so.
Thank you.
Also with us today, Alec Lundberg, who's been joining Rick on some of the recent women's updates. Alec, you haven't been on before, so do you want to kind of just give a hello and who you are at Reading Football Club?
Oh, yeah, absolutely. really appreciate you inviting me on, and obviously excited to talk about Reading. Obviously, just like Rick, one of the directors that works with Rob and Todd for the club. So been out and about on this for the last couple of years is with sort of our ownership group and helping do everything we can for the football club. So excited to be on, excited to talk about it, and really excited about this opportunity with the women's team as well.
Awesome, awesome. Well, we're excited to have you both on. So I'll just kind of set the scene here. So last week, about a week before this podcast, Reading Football Club confirmed that the women are returning under the Reading Football Club umbrella ahead of the 2026-27 season. The move will see the women's first team return to training at Bearwood Park, which is obviously very exciting, and then selected home matches, and we do understand quite a lot of home matches will be played at the Select Car Leasing Stadium, which is just absolutely fantastic. Rick and Alec will serve as cooperating managers of Reading Women. So I hope this isn't the first time you guys are hearing about that. You will be cooperating. But Rick or Alec, happy for either of you to jump in here. Why don't you just start by telling us about your background in sports and football, and then women's sports and football, if you've got that as well.
In the interest of Alec one-upping me with his playing career, I'd like to go first. Um, so yeah, long time player. I mean, I played all the way through university here. Played varsity in college as well. Ended with a pretty bad injury that had nothing to do with football at all. Just broke my back while skiing one winter, and that was curtains for me. But recently got to lace up the boots again at Bearwood Park. We played the over 45 Jewish national team.
Awesome.
And a little football match at the end of the season. Staff, it was great to see Ledge out there, Joe Jacobson, most of the coaching staff play. It was really cool, but it's been a good little while since I've played myself, but lifelong supporter, player, as much as I can, as much as the body allows.
Yep. I remember the siren. You were a little bit achy on that
Yes.
on that Saturday afternoon. Alec, what about yourself? What's your background in sports and women's sports?
Yeah, well, not to sell Rick short, I watched him play out there. He had probably the nicest. He had the nicest two through balls of anybody on the pitch, and
Hey,
in
there
the
you
first
go.
half for sure. I think it created the first two chances. So don't sell yourself short there at all. Yeah, so I just like Rick, been playing my whole life, since kid. Did, everything that we kind of do over here is on the state side, right? It's club ball, it's ODP, Olympic development, those little
Yep.
programs that we do outside of kind of youth soccer. And then I ended up playing a few years in the USL, in the lowest tier
nice.
there. So it's League Two. It's kind of the fourth tier of US soccer here. So did that for a few years. So one of the things when we went and watched the women's team, one of the things that it's a blast from the past and nostalgic, is knowing exactly what they kind of go through when you're in that really low tier American football. It's unpaid, right?
Yeah,
Or if
right.
you do get paid, you're not making a living off of it, and you're in the gym at 6 a.m. and then working 9 to 5 after that, and then going to training from 5 to
Right.
8 after that. And it's almost every single day, and you're playing in front of 100 and 150 people tops, and you're traveling. We would go all the way to El Paso, Texas, and those kind of things. I mean, some pretty legit road trips.
Yep.
But you're doing all that to play in front of minimal crowds and really for minimal money. But you're trying to do it, see what you can try to do. So, I did that for a few years. My wife actually played Division I soccer, and then she played professionally in the same boat as well. And so, she went through exactly that unique lower tier. I think to kind of describe it on the men's side, it's kind of like the non-league football route.
Yeah.
In England, where everybody's got a day job, but they're still trying to make it on the football side. So that was a bit of my playing career. I started coaching as well, youth soccer at the same time. So I've been doing that since
Nice.
for the last 20, 25 years as well. But I had a few years in the USL that made it a little bit fun. in that experience, and just kind of kept going and running with it. And then obviously, very special and blessed, for Rick and I to kind of take our love and be able to do it with Reading and the Reading community
Yeah.
and English football, period, which is, the pinnacle of being involved in this sport. I mean, it really is at any level. I mean, it's not just Premier League. I mean, really, English football is exactly, what every, soccer fan over here and football fan worldwide kind of views as kind of the pinnacle of the sport. And so,
Yeah.
for us to be able to take our love and start doing it now, we're incredibly grateful and also incredibly excited about it all.
Yeah, definitely. Well, I think we're excited as well in the fan base, and obviously the existing women's fan base, but also the potential to expand that fan base within the club. I think just grows. Why don't you guys tell us about how did this get started with kind of the idea to bring the women's team back under the club? And obviously the community trust has done a fantastic job over the last few years. But how did you guys get involved with bringing the women's team under the club again? Rick, why don't you go first?
Sure. Yeah. So I had to look it up actually. So February 12th, I was over in Reading for just one of my trips that I make every month and a half or so, and I found it in my calendar today. I met with Emma on February 12th at the Voco Hotel right next to the stadium. And I just asked her, I said, I know that you've been around Reading women's football for much longer than any of us have, and so I just kind of want to get a sense of what the needs are, what you're expecting, what the current situation is, and it kind of just launched a whole conversation, and Alec Alec hopped in very shortly after that as well, and we started having these weekly chats with Emma to kind of figure out what the best course of action is to reintegrate the women's team into this, and took a little bit longer, I guess, than what we were hoping for, but I think it's all good timing. I think that we've had a lack of news, I think, with the World Cup and everything coming up. So it's a great window of opportunity for us to
Yeah.
do something with the women's team. So I think the timing window worked out very, very well. And of course, Alec and I went to one of the matches when we were there in April, May time. And
Sort of great comeback, right?
oh, it was fantastic. It was
Yeah.
it was really no, 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 no. It was a good win. It was a
Just
good
a
win.
good win. Sorry.
Emphatic victory, yes.
Emphatic
There was
victory. My
there was,
apologies.
so much so that there's even a consolation goal for the other team. Um,
Yeah.
so,
Got to be
it's
generous.
it's just, it impressed both of us, I think, watching them play. I think
Mm.
the football intelligence is on another level when you see these, young women play. I think they're thinking 2 steps ahead, finding what the next pass is, playing really, really good football, and I think a lot of that has to do with being around it all the time. I think it also has to do with Ed and Emma and the kind of environment that they've created at the club.
Definitely, definitely. Speaking to women's football, I want to acknowledge just for a second that all three of us coming to you on your Tilehurst Den podcast right now have, let's call it, native World Cup accents, as it were. Alec, can you talk a little? You mentioned that your wife played D1 soccer over here.
Mhm.
Can you talk a little bit just about the respect and admiration for women's soccer, in the United States, and just like how that, affects kind of your thinking about it, I suppose?
Yeah, well, I mean, the U.S. women, from a national team level, have always been at the forefront, right? Since the
Yep.
early '90s, they were, we were really the first country that put a ton of resources behind the sport. It has always really been here on the state side. um, you get just a ton of girls involvement on the youth side. And so they've always had
Yeah.
a ton of numbers, but then, really uniquely through just kind of the rules of, college sports and college athletics, soccer became one of those sports that just was open to more scholarships on the women's side than the men's side. The more American sports kind of dominated the college scholarship world in terms of football, basketball, baseball. But on the women's side, soccer became huge in terms of opportunity for girls to continue to play and as they got older and move into kind of women's college soccer, which then created kind of unique opportunities to then, have the kind of women's professional league became kind of an afterthought, which was really kind of strange for many years. They had the W League, which is what my wife played in, which I mean was the highest level league at the time. And then it took a while, which was kind of strange for kind of the US to come through with kind of the NWSL and those kind of things that really kind of followed and picked up because the women's national team became that standard. But it was really kind of nice to see, really positive to start seeing other countries realize that they have the exact same population with the exact same kind of talent pool, and it just needs, people to want to kind of continue it on. So it's okay to have it just as this kind of, oh, it's a sport that all the kids play. But then when you start creating the player pathway that just kind of moves forward and just lets them stay in the game. So whether they stay as teenagers, whether they stay through their early 20s, and maybe it's not, overly crazy, but the more you can kind of push that player pathway down and keep people involved, they're just doing something they love. And it's just a sport they love and they get behind it, they become fans in it. And I think you guys can see it on the women's team for England has just been, lights out for what, about 10 years now, maybe,
really good.
and all of a sudden it felt like it was overnight. Where all of a sudden maybe okay, they're just going to be one of the best teams in the world. Just, England just kind of chose, oh, you know what, we're going to be one of the best women's team in the world too. And they are great. They're fantastic to watch. And then now the WSL is there that just continues it. And what's really great about it, we're also now seeing a whole bunch of American women's national team players playing in Europe because for them, that's the best environment to play in versus staying in the NWSL. So I think a lot of this just about the women's game, watching it grow, for me personally and my wife as well, just knowing that we were there, kind of being able to see it when it was just right grassroots, like kind of, wanting to bud, but not really blooming. And then watching it blow up to where it is, where Chelsea's being sold for 40 million pounds or whatever. I mean, it's wild. It really is. And, it ages us a little bit, in terms of we've been watching this over the last 25 years. But, the idea is it's so much fun to see. And
100%.
it is. And like Rick said, I mean, when you end up then going to the Reading women's match, the quality is tremendous. And so, I'm going to a 5th tier women's match in England, which I've never been to, and I'm expecting something worse than Sunday League. And you go watch these girls play, watch these ladies play, it's insane. I mean, the quality is absolutely there.
100%.
And so like, not just with the job, the coaches are doing and Emma and Ed and all the setup, just what the ladies are doing week in, week out, to become the players that they are and then play the way that they were. I mean, it's a huge testament to their attitude, their belief, their work ethic, all that. It's awesome. It's awesome to see.
Well, and you helped me segue quite nicely there because I think that both of you have now mentioned Emma Hopkins and Ed Jackson Norris and Tilehurst and listeners. Obviously, lucky enough we've been able to chat to both of them recently. Both of them super inspiring. But I think keeping that pathway going and keeping that pathway to the team strong with players has really been a lot of Emma's work in particular over the last few years. Why was it important to you two to keep those two in place as this new chapter for the Reading women's team began?
I think I was able to listen to y'all's chat with Emma this morning before we got together. I think she said it very well. I think continuity is really important. It's been really up and down over the past couple of years with just so many wholesale changes, and just to be able to maintain that and have that kind of stability pushing forward, I think it puts us in a great position. Uh, Plus, they're both really good at their job, as well as the rest of the coaching staff. Right? So it's a no brainer. I mean, the emphasis is to maintain stability, but I mean, if they're killing it, then there's no need to change anything, anyways.
100%. Yeah.
Yeah, absolutely.
So the other kind of exciting, or some of the big kind of highlights from the statement are around location. Where you guys, or where the Reading women will be training, where the Reading women will be playing. I suppose, Alec, why was bringing the women's team back to Reading, whether it be at Bearwood or the SCL, why was that really important to the project?
Well, I think Rick said it best on our announcement. I mean, to have a Reading team actually play in Reading so people from Reading can go watch Reading. I mean, it's
Yeah.
exactly what has to happen. I mean, I know where it was such a weird transition of them out of the club, with everything going on that, I mean, we're incredibly grateful for, the trust and Slough and all that, and just being able to have a setup for them to be able to play, be able to keep it going in any capacity, but the idea, I mean, Rick and I went out to that match, and I mean, halfway through the trip, I mean, we might as well have been going to London to watch it. I mean, it was
Yeah.
it was just, what are we doing? What are we doing? Where are we going? I mean, 10 minutes, we're gonna end up being in West London and
Had you been to Slough before,
this is my
Alec?
first time to Slough, so not gonna
Yeah.
look, perfectly fine community, nice stadium, nice setup, really did enjoy the whole setup and structure and all that, but
Yep.
just it's out there.
It's out
And,
of the way.
convenience is important. We want people to be able to enjoy getting in and out. Having just gone to a World Cup match that's in New Jersey when I'm staying in New York, not the easiest to get to and from, and so,
Oh,
I get it. You wanna be able to, enjoy going to and from those games, but then also you have, training at Bearwood, you're part of a club, and you're putting your name on that club, and you're gonna we have this really pristine training ground, one of the best in the country, and you're not allowed into it. Oh, the men are and the boys are, but the girls and the ladies, no, come on. It's like, what is this? Like we have the space, we have the opportunity out there. We're gonna put the badge on their jersey. They need to train in this environment. And it's the same with the game, same with the matches at Select Car, right? And the opportunity to do that. So it's not just having them here. There's convenience, there's in the community, it creates a better opportunity to get more people to the matches to be able to see them because they really do have the quality and deserve, to be seen and to be watched and to be enjoyed for the work they put out there. And so we're able to do that with Bearwood, with the training. We'll be able to do that with Select Car, with the stadium for matches. It's just it's a big deal. It's huge. I
yeah.
think it's a wonderful thing to be able to be able to do, but it also is a little bit of a common sense kind of moment to say, you know what, they're part of Reading Football Club, then they're going to need to be able to take advantage and enjoy and appreciate all the parts that make it fantastic to be part of Reading Football Club, the Reading fans, the Reading community, the Reading training ground, the Reading stadium, so all those things that we can do that we're so proud of about the club, we're now just making the women's team part of it as well, back to where they belong.
Definitely, definitely. So, for the three of us, and for kind of many people outside of the local area, one of the other exciting announcements was that the games will be streamed on YouTube, and they will be available to watch next season. Can you talk to us at all, Rick, about whether that was important to you guys coming in to get those games out there, or if that was sort of a project that Emma was desperate to achieve? I think a lot of people will be excited about that.
Yeah, I think when we were initially having these conversations, the first thing that we established is there a way to watch these games if you're not going to them?
Yeah.
Um, Particularly that was driven by it's in Slough. What if people, especially with the price of petrol sometimes,
Yeah.
that's a lengthy round trip from Reading, as I think everyone that's been over there knows. And it got into a discussion of, what kind of infrastructure do we have? We're already recording the matches for use with film and stuff like that. What does it take to be able to make this accessible to the public to watch the matches if they're unable to make it to the match themselves? Um, and it was really not that hard. We just need to tweak something with a subscription with what we already have, and we can live stream on YouTube. Uh,
Yeah.
so really, really low lift, really easy thing to do. it makes total sense. It's one of those things, again, like Alex said, it's common sense
Yeah,
type
yeah.
stuff.
Because we want people to go to the games, obviously, but if they can watch them in any way, that's great.
Yeah, well, it opens it up to, selfishly, Alec and myself.
Say 100%.
Yep, yep.
It's just so there's a personal benefit for both of us. We can actually watch these matches now. I think very much same with you, Ross.
Yep, definitely.
There's a handful of people, a good bit of fans that don't necessarily live in the town itself. I keep banging on about this with the club as a whole. I think we're massive. We're bigger than just the town. While we
Definitely.
represent it, I think we have fans all over the place that should have access to everything that a first team Reading club is doing.
Yeah, 100%. Couldn't agree more. So thinking, about this season and beyond, obviously for this season, the promotion to that National League is firmly the goal. Obviously, you're having a chat with Emma and Ed. Emma is very clear that that's her goal, and Ed is very inspiring and makes you feel like you're going to reach that goal tomorrow at times. But I guess either both of you can comment here. What are your kind of long-term goals, for the women's team and for your involvement with the women's team?
Yeah. I think, we have a little bit of a step up to do. I think this first year is just us making sure we can kind of get them back in and set up a good foundation. So, even things like the streaming where it might not be the full production in broadcast like the men's team, it's going to be still important that we're starting to get that live stream out. And so it's going to be like that with a lot of different aspects kind of this year, is to try not to disrupt the quality which Ed and Emma are doing on the pitch, but give them some better resources off the pitch. So then they can still do their thing on the promotion side. So I think this year is us doing kind of some behind the scenes, setting some foundations that then we can build on next year. So whether they get, promoted this year or not, the goal is that we can then year after year start to build on those foundations to where the women's team starts having more of exactly what, they deserve in terms of an infrastructure, in things, whether it's the fan store and fan experience, stadium experience, match day experience, the streaming, those kind of things. So I think there's it's a little bit more of a stepstone there kind of behind the scenes for us. But then I think it's like anything else. It's kind of like, I've heard Rick say it. It's kind of like a why not scenario. Let's see where we can go. Let's see what we can do. How yeah, I think why not the WSL at some point, right? Like,
Yeah.
You play the match to win it, and we're gonna be, setting up the infrastructure for the women's team to like eventually be able to see how high they can go, see how high they can grow, you know? And so it's kind of like, why not? Why would we not kind of shoot for that? And I think we'll take it kind of season by season and do it in a way that makes sense. But and obviously very much coordinated kind of with Emma and Ed and their vision. But I think in my mind, I see that very much as, it we could be doing this the next 20, 25 years of our life. I don't see why not. I like to be in the WSL and in that time frame. Hopefully in the front part of that time frame, Rick. But
Definitely.
we'll play it by ear as we go. But I think as long as we can really, put in place what we want, what we feel like the women's team really does need and does deserve, that they can, help them be successful on the pitch and help fans really enjoy off the pitch, in between match day. And then obviously, that stadium experience when they get there. I mean, that's a win for us,
Definitely.
and help it all grow, right? Grow the academy size, you know, grow hopefully in the promotion realm, but then obviously also, grow the number of people at the matches or streaming online, all that stuff. So, I mean, we just, we want to make this available to everybody to be able to just enjoy this product that the women put out that's really is high quality
Yeah.
and worth watching.
100%. Rick, any plans for the next 20, 25 years of your life?
Listen, I love it. I think Alec's absolutely right. I mean, I think evidence has shown that this club's capable of competing at the highest level. They've been there before. So, back to what Alec said, why not? Why not try and shoot for that again? I think we've shown that we're capable of it. And, it's one of those things where we're going to need time to get it to go. It's what you all discussed with Emma. It's not so straightforward necessarily to get promoted each year if there's only one spot available, but
it's crazy.
We're gonna give it our best shot each time. I think every time you show up to a match, you want to win. You want to get the 3 points, and that's where we got to start. And sky's the limit from there. Love to be doing this as long as we can.
Definitely. Well, all right, we're coming up on the end of this little segment here. I'm going to ask you both for a sort of a 5 to 10 second advert, as it were, for why should Reading fans come and watch the team next year? Because it's Reading is the answer, obviously. And I would always say, come and watch all Reading teams. Whether it be the youth teams, the men, or the women, or whatever. But Alec, I'll go to you first. Why should people come and watch Reading this year?
It's exactly that. It's because it's ready. And every time, every one of those teams that we put out, the coaches, the players, all that, I mean, they're putting their heart and soul into it. You can see it. They enjoy playing for the club. They enjoy playing for the badge. They enjoy playing for the fans and the community. And so, I mean, I just urge everybody as much as possible to go out and watch them.
Definitely. Rick, what about you?
Listen, it's a fantastic thing to do on a Sunday afternoon. Bring the whole family, bring everyone you want. It's going to be a warm, welcoming atmosphere. We're going to be at a fantastic stadium, as many of the people that get to go to the matches at the SCL get to experience on Saturdays. Spend your whole weekend with us. We'd love that. Come to a men's game on Saturday. Come for the women on Sunday.
That is a great advert. Actually, no, I've seen that done in the NWSL and the USL, where Louisville, for example, with their Lynn family stadium, will say, hey, come on down to the doubleheader. Come watch the women on the Friday and the men on the Saturday. So love that. Rick, Alec, thank you both for not only being on this podcast, obviously, but thank you both for the commitment to the women's team. I think fans of this podcast know that it's really important to me, women's football, but also many other people in Berkshire. So thank you both.
All right. Thank you.
All right. Thanks, guys.
Right. So welcome back to episode 462 of the Tilehurst podcast. That was Ross, Rick, and Alec. Sounds like a rubbish band, that.
Good chat, that, though. A lot of people with very Yankee Doodle accents. So I hope you're ready to stay in the land of opportunity, ladies and gentlemen.
Yeah, well, I mean, that it's really, all in all, really positive news. As I said earlier, we've got
really good news
with Emma Hopkins, fantastic human being, fantastic individual.
Oh yeah, please go and watch that. Sorry, I'm talking.
Yeah,
all over
really
you.
Good. It's always great to get Pete on as well. Always great to have him back on the pods and involved with what we do. Huge part of what we do here at the Tilehurst End. So please go and check that out. We're into the World Cup waffle. We're nearly a week into it, would you believe?
I know.
Well, we are. By the time you listen to this, we will have been a week into the World Cup, which is crazy. Interesting tournament so far. I've watched a fair bit of it, actually, all things considered. Before we talk about individual teams and things that you might have seen, kits I was going to talk to you about as well.
Yeah. I'm
gonna say the name of a World Cup nation, so team in the World Cup. Don't know why I had to explain that, but I did. You're going to give me a one-word answer / description of them. Does that make sense?
Yeah. That's fine.
Yeah. So we'll start with the opening.
Is there a right answer, or am I just sort of?
No. It's just waffling? Whatever It's the World Cup waffle, to describe them. Yeah, World Cup waffle. Right, Mexico.
Classic.
Czech Republic.
Changeable in that their name seems to change every single tournament they're in.
Well, I think they've been the best losers so far in this tournament. I thought they were very good, Czech Republic.
I thought they were okay. I thought that they were one of the teams that are doing the Arsenal thing, which is quite funny. And there's a lot of Arsenal DNA all over this tournament. I'll say that much so far. Not in a bad way.
Canada.
Unlucky.
What? They were rough. Honestly, they couldn't finish a Mars bar that lot.
You don't watch Canada very often, is what it sounds like. And I watch Canada a few times a year, and they're off and on good. You know, like no Fonzie Davies in that team was that kind of took a lot of the sting out of their attack for sure.
But I mean, even the lad up front, David, it's like, what are you doing? Like the amount of opportunities they had, particularly in the first half, they're just wasting the ball.
The lad who scored, Kyle Larin, actually literally went to school with my wife at
No way.
A university, which was quite funny. So he played for their university team over here, and then he went out. I think he's been in Turkey and various places. Obviously, plays for Southampton or played for Southampton at the end of last year. They're a decent team. They probably peaked Canada about 3 or 4 years ago. That was when Junior Hoylett
of course they did.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah. Junior Hoylett was playing a lot of football for Canada at that stage. But it'll be interesting to see how they get on with the rest of the games.
Okay. United States of America.
About time, I guess. I know that's 2 words.
One word.
Did you expect that? Did you expect them to blow Paraguay?
They took them apart. Okay. They absolutely battered them.
So they have that in them. The US are a good side with like quite a few good players now, and obviously they're being coached at a very high level. And the US have been sort of like, obviously, I think it might have been 2018 they missed the World Cup, or maybe I think it was 2018 they missed the World Cup, and that kind of prompted a big set of changes for them. They have been a good side that plays some good football for a while. They're just very, very leaky at the back.
I was very, very impressed. I mean, I didn't watch it live, obviously, because of the time difference, but the extended highlights, they just took Paraguay apart, didn't they? They did not know what to do with it at all, and they rallied a little bit. They got a goal back, and they huffed and they puffed, but they were just too good.
Do you know the best thing for me about watching that game was that I watched it with mostly these 2016, so like 10-year-old, 9-year-old boys, and just like watching some of their core memories of football and the World Cup form as they watched that game. Like some of the boys that I was coaching this weekend, quite a few of them came up to me to ask if I had watched the game, and they're talking about it with these like wide eyes and like this sense of amazement. I'm just really happy for the Americans that they got that experience.
And that's really funny because my son's 11, and the first World Cup I really remember getting into was USA 94. I was 9 at that time.
Yeah.
Obviously, he's a couple of years on from that, but he's watched as much as he can. So timings are a bit tricky, but we've watched a lot of it together, and I'd like to think he'll look back on this World Cup and go, I get that. And it's really nice for me because my first World Cup was in America as well. But that chaos one. So I hope he looks back on this, go, I remember watching all the games and having a chat and stuff. And
keep talking.
It was really good, really positive. So, I think overall so far it's been a decent World Cup. I've enjoyed it.
Yeah.
I don't know what you're doing now. You're just getting your wardrobe out.
Yeah. Hang on.
Oh, you got shirt on.
I've got some very cool things from the 94 World Cup. So this is more
cool.
This is more of a video feature, I suppose.
That's good, that.
But yeah, isn't that good? So I have this like World Cup USA 94 polo shirt. I also have, again, listeners, I'm sorry, I'm showing a purple jacket right now. So this is security for the USA World Cup 94. This was at the Boston area stadium. Now, the really fun thing about this is that this was given to me by a guy. It was his dad's, and it was given to me because he thought for whatever reason I would really like it. I love USA 94 stuff because I was born in 94. So I live here and it says US, and I was born in 94. So anyway, he gave me that. It's amazing. But his dad worked at the 94 World Cup. He is working at this World Cup.
That's
in the
decent.
same stadium, or in the stadium that would have been, in the same kind of area. So yeah, it's just really, really cool. Like, it's a generational pass down of guys that worked at the World Cup. But yeah, I'll wear my nice World Cup '94. The MLS kits and things from this era are incredible. They are peak Americana. They are peak, like, selling football to people who do not like football, in the 90s. Now, like, football, I've really enjoyed that a lot of the athletics coverage of the Cup over here has been that even versus like 10 years ago, football is so much more popular than it was in the United States, but it is still nice to engage with this old school, we don't quite understand it, but we're getting excited about it, attitude from American football. Things have changed, but yeah. Anyway.
Switzerland?
Boring. Who cares? Switzerland.
Morocco?
I don't really like Morocco right now because of the stupid stuff with the AFCON final and stuff like that. I missed this game too, I must say. So why don't you give us a word for Morocco?
Morocco's goal was decent,
tasty,
really good. Like one of them.
Yeah. I think Brazil might be quite good eventually in this tournament. First game of the tournament, you never really put that much stock in. Brazil look all right to me.
Yeah. Scotland?
Exciting. So they're in New England. The Scottish fans, that's where they're based. Oh no, they're based down, I think, further down the coast. But the Scottish fans are very much in New England. They were at Fenway Park singing very loud, which is really great to see. I bumped into a bunch of them at a gas station up here in Maine. They had clearly all rented a big camper van, and I just watched as 6 guys in Scotland shirts got out of this van and went in to, go and buy drinks or things like that. One of them, the guy who was like sitting in the passenger seat, saw my England shirt and just gave me a look, and I thought, right, better get out of here. I found a corner of Glasgow in my own zip code.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah, don't want a Glasgow kiss.
No.
Germany?
Ruthless. Yeah, that Germany attack is lovely to watch. I might be the biggest Kai Havertz defender in the world. I love Kai Havertz. I think he is such a player. Harry Kane is the best forward in the world, so we don't need him. But I really like Kai Havertz. I think he's a great player.
Japan?
Oh, precious. I love Japan. I adore them. Did you see the coach's big whiteboard with the numbers and everything on it? I just love the Japanese national team. I think the way they play is they're fascinating. They're the ultimate nation team or national team for like that sort of idea of like the collective over like any individual or something like that, which I like. I do also feel that the World Cup is kind of a tournament that favors individuals doing amazing things. Like Mbappe just seems to come alive. And did you see the second goal that he scored?
Just one word on Japan?
Yeah, that's just one word for you. Now I'm talking about Kylian Mbappe.
Well, we'll come to him in a minute. What was the word?
Precious. Just gonna like them.
Cape Verde?
Ooh. Stubborn. That'll be the word so far.
Spain were blunt, to put it bluntly. But they had to really stand up and make it count. I thought fair play to them. And this is it. I've just watched the end of or had the Portugal game and Portugal Congo game in the background. Similar thing. Very, very difficult to break down when they got 11 men behind the ball. And it was the same with Cape Verde. You could be the best team in the world, but actually it's very, very difficult when they compact it so hard. You know, where do you get the through balls? Where do you get the space? How do you open up? How do you get shots off? So very, very difficult for them, really.
Well, I was calling it the Arsenal World Cup in terms of like the corners and things like that. But I feel like that sort of like very compact shape and like, being great out of possession. Like that's another Arsenal thing, like prioritizing out of possession over in possession. And I think that out of possession has kind of become almost more important in a lot of football in this day
They're
and
sitting
age.
that low block, so difficult to break down.
Just even versus 4
very, very
years
complimentary.
ago.
If you sit in a low block against the team, you're paying them a massive compliment, but also the emphasis on the other team to attack and break it down. It's very, very difficult to do that. Egypt.
That's a tricky one. Also there. I don't know. I don't feel like anyone in that.
You could have just said Salah and left it at that.
I just don't think anyone in that group is going to do particularly well. So I'm just kind of like, on them.
Yeah.
Should we open up how many more have you got? We should open up this pack of stickers soon.
I was just going to do France.
Oh, screw them. I mean, they're lethal. I think they're going to win the tournament, and I'm going to be upset about it when they do. But they're just so
Senegal
good.
They made it very difficult for them, though. The problem with Senegal, they had no discipline, so they were diving into tackles. I think it should have been a penalty, personally.
Oh
they
scored,
Sadio
and Mbappe, I agree.
And then they left the gates open. They left it complete. I mean, brilliant finish from Mbappe for the second goal that he scored in their third of the day.
Yeah,
but there was just no discipline in that Senegal team at all. Very, very athletic, but they just
I thought the
couldn't
big change for me was when they moved Elise inside, and I kind of understood the urge to put Elise out on the right to start off with, because like that's where he starts for Bayern Munich as well. But at the same time, I thought that the game changed once they moved into that 10 position.
You're probably right about Elise and France in general. You got some stickers, haven't you?
Let's do it. Let's stickers it up. And the best thing about it is that, so obviously we got some stickers last week. The best thing about it is that you don't necessarily know all of the players when you start. But I feel like a week or two in, we might know a little bit more. So we've seen Alex Freeman play now. We got him last time out. Let's do oh, wait, I'll do it down the side like you wanted this time.
Thank you.
There you go. That's a full microphone tear right there.
It's a nice rip.
Okay, so let's see what we're looking at here. We are looking at Gonzalo Inacial, just tied with who is it they were playing? Dr. Congo. I've got to read these backwards. Ahmed Fatoua from Egypt. I missed most of that game. I'm not going to lie to you, so that's good. We are Croatia. That's not a good sign.
That's not a good sign.
30 minutes.
Not a good sign.
That's not a good sign. 30 minutes before we kick off against them. I don't like that at all. What else have we got here? I'm sorry. I'm going to have to read that name the correct way around. Hicham Bouadouai. Who plays for Algeria, who were actually not that bad last night, and they just got absolutely taken to pieces by Messi, which will happen sometimes. We've got, is his name Led? He looks
was it Leo?
A little bit like a serial killer. Oh, Leo Ostergaard, you're correct, for Norway, who I didn't get to watch yesterday, unfortunately. Then what we've got Ghislaine Conan from Ivory Coast. That was a great game. Really good game. Loved that.
Yeah.
Jan Diamant was my favorite player of the tournament so far. I know that's very basic. We've got Jose Sarr. Is he the Wolves keeper still? He is still the Wolves keeper.
Yeah, one of four that they've taken.
That's 2 of the 4 Portuguese keepers now. Perfect. So we have Diogo Costa. And we have Jose Sarr now in our little collection that's building here. So if you wanted Portuguese goalkeepers,
this is
the World Cup stickers, this is the place to come. Yeah. So.
Very quickly before we close this pod down, predictions for 29 minutes time. Don't say it kicks off, because I know that's going to happen.
Predictions for England versus Croatia. I think that I think that England will not lose this game. I think that's fair to say, and hopefully I'm right, and we'll see how it goes. I think that this World Cup has shown that, as we've just talked about, like teams running a low block and really trying to gum up the works in the box can be a very effective way to shut down, superior opposition. I would like to think that England would have a little bit too much going through the final third for Croatia. But with the two wingers starting today, Gordon and Madueke, our 1v1 ability is a little bit more limited. So I would probably say, maybe a 1-1 or a 0-0 today. We'll see. Hopefully I'm wrong, and England are a lot better than I think. I think we go out in the quarters to France. That's kind of where I'm at, unfortunately. But I do hope that involves a lovely victory over Mexico in Mexico City. So we'll see.
I think it rests on Croatia's midfield, to be honest, how quickly they can move the ball.
100%.
It's a really, really big game for Rice and Anderson. I think England's success will hinder on how well they do, and they rotate the ball and they recycle it. They're going to have to be really on top of their game. I think the other thing really for England is looking at that connection between Bellingham and Kane, and how far Bellingham actually is allowed to push up, and the understanding that they have, because they both sort of looks like to start with, they're playing a bit centrally. Harry Kane, as you said, is the best striker in the world. I won't have any arguments against it. But I think it's a really big game for Anderson and Rice for sure, and how well they can disrupt what Modric and over to the other side sort of Perisic can do. So look, I think it's going to be interesting. I definitely think it's going to be the toughest game that England have in the group, and I think it's probably worthwhile to get this out of the way now. This should be fine against Ghana and Panama. I can't see them giving any issues. But if they win convincingly tonight, then they're probably going to be allowed to rotate players a little bit in the Ghana and certainly the Panama game.
That's the hope, yeah.
So, I think it's going to be an interesting game. I really do. Wherever you have watched it, hope you enjoyed it. I say that as someone who doesn't care about watching England.
I hope it's good.
Hope you've enjoyed the World Cup so far. What are you having for your dinner, by the way, Ross, or late lunch as you watch this game?
On my dinner, well, what am I going to eat while I watch this game? I'm going to eat an anchovy pizza, like a fiend while I eat this game. While I watch this game. Yeah, I'm going to eat anchovy. I have anchovies. My wife doesn't like fish, so I decided I'm going to eat anchovies while she's away. So don't mind me. I'm like Zoidberg, but I'm less red, and I've got fewer claws.
You can have a few cheeky beers while you watch it?
Oh yeah, they're already in the fridge. They're literally waiting for me. The second, I tell you what, mate, the second we finish this pod, that beer about to hit my hand like Mjolnir. I'll tell you that much.
You're in there. Well, listen, enjoy it.
I'm in the pocket.
Yeah, enjoy that. Enjoy your disgusting pizza. Hope you've enjoyed this pod, everybody. Thanks very much for listening once again. As I said, other pods are available on our account, so check those out. We will see you next week for episode 463. We're hoping we've got something to talk about. We've done pretty well to fill 51 minutes of just faffing around. I hope you've enjoyed that. Thanks for joining us once again. Ross, have a good week. Enjoy the rest of the games over these coming 7 days.
You as well.
And we will see you next week. Come on, you R's.